You have to fly your 4-engine bomber at exactly 60 feet above the water. At night. At 230 miles per hour. Straight at a wall of anti-aircraft fire. And drop a bomb that bounces across the lake like a stone skipping on a pond. This is one of the most extraordinary stories of the war. And most people have never heard of it. The dams of the Ruhr Valley powered Germany's war industry. Inventor Barnes Wallis designed a bouncing bomb that could skip across water and destroy them. The mission was nearly impossible. What happens next will test the limits of human courage, ingenuity, and endurance. This is the Dam Busters. Barnes Wallis was a genius engineer obsessed with destroying Germany's dams. He calculated that if the dams fell, Germany's industrial heartland would flood. He designed a cylindrical bomb that would spin backwards at 500 revolutions per minute, skip across the water, hit the dam, and sink down the wall before exploding. The Air Ministry thought he was insane. But he proved it worked with scale models. A special squadron was formed, 617 Squadron. Wing Commander Guy Gibson was chosen to lead. At 24, he had already flown 174 missions. He hand-picked his crews. The Lancasters were modified to carry the bomb. The bomb bay doors were removed. 2 spotlights were fitted to judge the exact height of 60 feet. They trained for weeks over British lakes and reservoirs at night, flying at treetop height. It was incredibly dangerous even in training. On the night of May 16, 19 Lancasters took off in 3 waves. Their targets were the Möhne, Eder, and Sorp dams. They flew to Germany at 50 feet to avoid radar. Power lines, church steeples, and trees flashed past in the moonlight. Gibson attacked the Möhne dam first. His bomb hit perfectly, but the dam held. It would take multiple hits. The flak was murderous. 1 Lancaster was hit and crashed into the reservoir. Another was shot down approaching the dam. The 5th bomb breached the Möhne dam. A wall of water 100 feet high roared into the valley below. Gibson then led the surviving aircraft to the Eder Dam. It was even harder to attack, surrounded by hills. The Eder Dam was breached on the 3rd attempt. 2 dams destroyed. The flooding was catastrophic. The Sorp Dam, built differently, survived a direct hit. But 2 out of 3 main targets were destroyed. 8 of the 19 Lancasters did not return. 53 aircrew were killed. 3 were captured. The floods killed 1,600 people, including 1,026 forced laborers. Factories and mines were damaged. But Germany rebuilt within months. The Dam Busters became legends. Guy Gibson received the Victoria Cross. The bouncing bomb entered military folklore. 2 of 3 dams were breached, flooding the Ruhr Valley. 8 Lancasters and 53 aircrew were lost. Germany repaired the damage within months. The Dam Busters raid was a remarkable feat of precision bombing and courage. Though its strategic impact was limited, it boosted British morale and pioneered precision attack tactics. The people involved in this story became legends. Their bravery inspired generations. Many of the details remained classified for decades. Only now do we know the full story. Books and films have tried to capture this incredible story. But reality was even more remarkable. The veterans who lived through it rarely spoke about what happened. Some stories are too big for words. This was the Dam Busters, the impossible bouncing bomb mission. One of the most remarkable stories of the entire war. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shaped the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today. The events described here shape the world we live in today.